when I was about 8 years old, we moved away from the church that I was accustomed to, that I was at, where my aunt was the preacher. There for many years, I wasn't involved in the church. My dad was an alcoholic. My mother tried to get me involved in it some, but she wasn't really that involved either. So I didn't really get too much upbringing other than my early years, but I always knew about God because I heard enough when I was outside of the church playing that I knew about God. I've got quite a little bit out of just hearing the sermons and the songs that they were singing inside the church. I didn't realize it, but I did. Well, it takes a little discipline, you know. I just didn't have time for the church. Yeah, things got busy. I mean, anybody's got time. You know, it just depends on how you use your time. And me, I just didn't think I had the time. I think the worst time of it was when I graduated from high school and I went into the Navy. I was away from family and friends and I really wasn't involved in any kind of a church. I was on a ship and we'd go to all kinds of places, the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, you name it. Went to a lot of different places while I was in the Navy. Of course, the only thing I wanted to do was go have a good time. There was always bars in the way, and my buddies, we always thought we were having a good time out there partying, so to speak. And so that really was, and I did a lot of that, and that was a bad time, a dark time, I think, the darkest time. And I stayed in that time until I met my wife. I was 27 when I met her, and she was 20, but she was raised in the Assembly of God Church, and so I kind of slowed down, but I didn't really join the church. She came, we moved over here off 27th and Garnett, and she came, she would bring the kids to church here, so they were basically raised in this church. I would only come on special days, holidays, Easter, Christmas programs when they might be in it or something like that. I just didn't have time to get too involved in it. I think the turning point in my life with the church was, about the real turning point, I think, was about 15 years ago. After we'd heard about Eastland Assembly and about the senior service for the 8:30 senior service for the seniors, and that sounded like, you know, the music sounded well. You know, we need to check that out. So we came up here and we liked what we heard and what we saw and the music, and all the people were old like we were getting to be, and so we just felt like we just fit right in, and we kept coming, and it was probably. Well, things didn't happen right off. It took a little time to develop, but I was finally saved. I went up and confessed and asked for forgiveness, and a little bit later they had a baptismal, so I was baptized. And so that was really a big point, I think, in my life. Well, it changed my life like I had a temper early on, back in those days. I'll give you an example of being out in traffic, for example. If somebody, you know, honked at me or got mad at me because I was driving too slow or for whatever reason I was in their way and they let me know they didn't like it, well, I'd get mad too. But since then, it doesn't bother me to be out there in the traffic and have the aggravation, you know, that it used to. It used to just boil me over, so to speak. Moral of my story is to, especially if I was talking to someone younger, well, they should attend church regularly. I think you have to do that in order to, because if you don't, you'll stray. So you need to be here, and just pay attention to what the preacher's telling you.
Amen.
Yeah.
Spirit soaring, I touch the sky. Woman nation.